What are the steps involved in generating e-invoices? It's not as complicated as you think. Hi everyone, I'm Zen. I mentioned earlier that there are two ways to issue e-invoices, but do you know what are the steps involved to generate e-invoices? Well, it's actually not as complicated as you think. Step 1. The seller issues an invoice to the buyer and uploads the details to the Inland Revenue Board. Step 2. The Inland Revenue Board will validate the e-invoice data. Once the validation is complete, the seller will receive a validated invoice which includes the Inland Revenue Board's unique identifier number known as UIN, the validation date and time, and a validation link. Well, if the invoice does not pass the validation process, the seller needs to make relevant corrections and resubmit. Step 3. The Inland Revenue Board notifies both the seller and the buyer via email that the e-invoice has been validated. Step 4. The seller may now share this e-invoice with the buyer. Step 5, 6, and 7. The buyer can request to reject the e-invoice if there is any error in the e-invoice. The seller may then cancel it. However, the request for rejection of e-invoice by the buyer or cancellation of e-invoice by the seller has to be done within 72 hours. Step 8. Storing of e-invoices. All validated and accepted invoices are stored in the Inland Revenue Board's database. Step 9. Both the seller and the buyer will be able to view detailed information of the invoice on the My Invoice portal. So, do you now understand the process of generating e-invoices? Want to know more about e-invoicing? Keep watching our next episode to learn more about e-invoice.